says started recording. Live stream has started recording. A little message popped up.
Well, the record is still circling.
Oh,
Mine is a nice white circle.
yeah.
It tells me that I have to, so Linda, it tells me that I have to sign off. I'm going to sign off and then on and see if I can help you there, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll all just hold on for a minute.
Now the record is live,
Okay.
active. So Laura,
Here's Laura coming in.
Yeah,
Again.
looks like Laura's.
Yeah, the meeting's recording and live, so you can go ahead and start.
Okay, so just to, do we want to go over who's on, Linda, or did you capture that?
I will capture it as we start talking.
Okay. So the first item is the approval of the meeting minutes. Did everyone get the April 15th meeting minutes? And does anyone have any comments on the meeting minutes from April? I'm sorry, what was that?
I have some small editorial comments.
Okay, John?
Yeah, let me go to the page. So let's see, I guess page 2. Again,
Yeah.
these are the typical silly little things. Page 2, line 43.
Mm-hmm.
It says, and then they tend to align with this policy. Do we want to just take out the word agree? They tend to align with this policy?
Sure. And
Okay.
did you capture that? You're capturing.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then line 52. They noted they were concerned if the tree fell toward the house in a storm. There's like an if without really like a then part. So do we want to say they noted they were concerned that the tree might fall toward the house?
Sure.
That's good.
Okay. And line 62, just need an apostrophe.
Yeah.
But the tree council's, where was it, 62? On the tree council's comments from last time.
Yeah. An apostrophe S there on the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, page 3, line 87. There's a word event that I think should be even, like maybe it shouldn't have the T. At the corner, so the council could event plan around the corner, I guess even plant around the corner, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then line 91, we need to at the end of the line 91, even though the power lines tend to run behind house in this area, we want to make it houses, right?
Yeah.
And then lastly, line 104.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. So she noted she also created an Instagram page. So delete the D in and.
Yeah. And was that everything, John?
Yes, that's everything for me.
Okay, great. Anybody else have any comments?
Good job.
Hi, Amanda. I see Amanda joined. Did anyone else join that I miss?
Hi guys, sorry I'm late.
No, that's okay. So does somebody want to make a motion then to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Okay, anyone want a second?
I'll
This is
second.
Chris. I'll second.
Okay, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great, so moved. Next is privilege of the floor. Laura, have you heard of anyone who?
No, I didn't receive any privilege of the floor comments for the
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, so we'll move right on to the new business and action items because it looks like we have a few that we have to go over tonight here.
Yeah, yep. So, so the first one I think I sent you, sorry, I don't have the, okay, wait, no. So the first one's actually the highway referrals, right?
Right.
And I have some that the highway department had told me that they were going to send, but I don't have them ready to go. So that we can just set that one aside. That's going to be similar to the ones that we looked at before. And I did want to let you guys know though that they really were thankful for the last two recommendations that we had. It helped give them good guidance and feel better about the decision that they have to make.
Oh, good. Okay.
Nice.
What did they decide, Laura?
They didn't, so I gave them our recommendations and Amy's, summary and they were very grateful for it, but they didn't actually tell me what they were going to do. But they did say that they would like to do, because I think in both cases it says that the trees, should be monitored or eventually taken down. And so they may just choose to monitor. I don't know. They didn't follow up with me, or because they know it's an eventuality, they may just take it down. But they definitely said in both situations they would like us to do replanting plans. I know that Dean Street is our sort of number one planting plan situation right now, but they were very open to doing planting plans in both places, because in both places we had said that if you take these big trees down, it's going to make the block bare, and they agreed with that and wanted to help.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
That's good.
Okay. So next is the Overlook Park subdivision, Laura.
Yeah, so the Overlook Park one, I emailed it to you, and Amy just called me on it because she wasn't able to come to the meeting tonight, but she wanted to say that she felt like the planting plan was horrible. Me as well. I don't like it at all. I think that it needs more trees, and there's, I think, poor species choice, and also maybe more diversity. So
Laura,
I didn't.
can you just remind me, where is Overlook Park subdivision?
Oh wait, the next one's Overlook Park subdivision. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That one, I'm sorry. I don't have the agenda up. Overlook
Okay.
Park subdivision is on the corner of Shannon Boulevard and Route 7.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
is there a map of that in your packet? There might not even be. Is there?
No.
That's the one that we've walked a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Was
I
it the
wanted to
one
let
that
you
we
guys.
were, I don't know. That's not the one that's part of the park.
Aqueduct.
Yeah, no, that's the
No, it's right
okay.
adjacent to the Leisha Kill.
Right.
And
This is the one that's Elisha Kill.
yeah. And
Okay, so we walked that,
oh
and
man.
didn't we?
And
in the
they're
snow?
actively working on that one. I walk by it and they have cleared some trees.
Yeah, they were clearing the sites for the homes and putting in the driveways. Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's
So-
the one we walked, and we changed some of the flagging and changed a couple of the trees that they were initially trying to keep because they were like ash. And had them keep a couple that they didn't have flagged. But so I think for Overlook Park subdivision, and I'm so sorry, my computer is still not fully loaded.
That's
But,
okay.
but I think that the issue there is that they need to have street trees, and so we're like at least 2 a lot. And so if the subdivision is in the packet, not sure if he's got the proposed types of trees there or not, but I think maybe just based on the trees that are there plus what we know the site, because I think we've actually walked it a couple times now, we should help propose the street tree planting plan.
Okay.
Do they have one, or we need to make one for them?
So there is a page. Can you guys tell? I'm almost there. Is the Overlook Park subdivision in your packet?
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
That's me.
Yeah. I don't think it is.
Yikes. I don't think so either. I'm looking now. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will bring that up and email it out to you guys. Sorry about that. I don't have. I think let's circle back to that. I might be able to pull up a plan. If I can get my computer up and going.
Okay, so we'll skip over the Overlook one. The next one, Laura, is the 1380 Van Antwerp Road.
Okay, yes. So this one has a very minor change from the last time that we walked it. And you guys, we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting. So the main changes are, if you look in in the corner of the existing home, they're relocating the driveway and they're putting a rain garden that is kind of like an L shape at the bottom of the driveway. And what we want to do is make sure the flagging that so the developer says that the flagging that we did when we first went out there is still up. So I think we just want to check and make sure that the flagging for the trees, like on the lots that face Hilltop, is still good. And then we need to take a look at what the impacts are to relocating the driveway on McGovern, because I think he has noted in that plan that at least one very large tree is coming down.
Hmm.
So maybe like as an action item for tonight, we could set up a time that we could that works for a majority of people on the call, and then I can send it to him.
Okay. Does it have any proposed times, Laura?
So I'm fairly flexible. It's obviously easiest for me to do it during the day, but I think that's the hardest for you guys. So what kind of works for you guys?
Daytime's fine for me, but whatever time works too.
Thursdays are okay for me during the week. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
So
Otherwise,
you want to do
weekends,
like
yeah.
a next Thursday? Okay, I do have my computer up.
Okay.
Just have to connect with you guys. So like a next Thursday well, actually I'm open anytime next Thursday. I often propose like a 10 or a 2, but it would be like, is it easier to do a 9 so you can have the rest of the day, or like a 3 so that you could come home? I don't know what works for you guys.
Anything works for me. That's fine.
Yeah.
Later in the day works for me. The morning I have a
It's
meeting.
tougher. So
Yeah,
do you guys want to do like a 3 p.m. at 1380 Van Antwerp
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
That sounds
on
good.
the 20th?
Okay.
And then one of the other things that we want to look at with the subdivision, which I brought up to him, is that we want to make sure that these lots get street trees. We talked about that before. So maybe we can just game plan an idea for street trees that we can bring up to the developer when we're out there.
Okay.
Maybe we could just like bring a list of, good street trees for that area. I know in that neighborhood we've planted some sweet gums and tupelos. But really just a list of a couple good trees might be able to spur him to do a planting plan.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys are welcome to park in my driveway. Although,
Yeah.
Okay.
If he knows we're coming, that driveway, until they remove it, because they do want to remove that big circular driveway, but you can fit a lot of cars in that big circular driveway.
Yeah.
Okay, so was
Okay.
there anything else on the Van Antwerp Road one, Laura?
So I don't think so. I'm gonna pop off for a second now and join with my computer when we go to work.
Okay.
Okay.
And while she's doing that, the next one will be the River's Ledge one, the Aqueduct Park one. People have that in the packet.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a lot of.
Yeah, it's my understanding there's $40,000 on the table there to spend on that park. So, which is a fair chunk of money.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Oh, there you
Did you
are.
did you guys have? Oops, am I muted? Oh no.
No.
Fine.
Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about for 1380 Van Antwerp?
I'm not sure
Oh, I wanna
all
go
the
through. Mhm.
accurately marked on there.
What was that, Daryl?
I don't think all the trees are accurately marked on the plans for 1380, and I'm not
1380.
correct number. Like, there certainly are a lot of smaller trees that are not on there, but I also think there's one larger tree that doesn't seem to be on the plan, and the one that we're removing, it's a little for me, but the one that they said they're removing, I'm not sure. There's a couple trees that are sort of in that area. One of them really big, and then a couple other larger, and I'm not sure that they're all on there. So maybe they're going to be more trees taken down than just.
Yeah, so we'll check that. That may be because when the tree council walked it the first time, they may not be showing the trees that are in the footprint of the home to be taken down, but we can definitely request that they do that and make sure that they're in there so that you can see the full, because those trees are big. Like we talked about that before. They're really big trees on 1380 in Antwerp.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually talking about the tree for the driveway on the existing.
Okay, so we can check that too. So let me just pull this up. So oops. Okay. So I apologize. When you guys said Overlook Park subdivision, because I didn't have the packet in front of me, I was confused with what myself is, but that is what I put on the agenda. But what I was talking about is Celts Farm, and that is what's in here. So can you guys see Celts Farm?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's just finish the Van Antwerp one, and then we can go back to Celts Farm. So
Yes.
next Thursday, just to be clear, when we walk it, we're going to check to see what's on the plan matches, if there's any tree discrepancies, I guess is how we want to say it.
Yeah. So we'll meet at 3 p.m. We'll bring a list of good street trees for this to help with the street tree planting plan, and then we'll check, just visually check to see if all the large trees that we see are marked on the subdivision plan.
Okay. And we're going to come, who's going to come with ideas for street trees? Is that something we can check with Amy on, or do we have a
We
list?
have to have lists somewhere. We have.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty good list. Like, we could give him the one that we did for. We've done a couple lists now, and even if we just do a list for Overlook, we can bring that to him too. I can put together a list that we'll bring.
Okay.
He might be more receptive if one of you guys give him the list, but I'll come up with the list.
Okay. So now do we want to go back to Celts Farm and then do Rivers Ledge, Laura?
Yeah, so I mean, all the things I said about Overlook Park subdivision are true, but I think you guys have looked at them. So if I need to go and dig into Overlook Park and just make sure that we're covering all our bases, I will. But the Celts Farm is, it's the same developer, which is probably why I made the mix up. So the Celts Farm subdivision is much bigger than Overlook, right? Overlook was 4 lots connected to the Leishkill. Celts Farm is right across from Blatnick, and it's 24 lots. And so per our code, he needs to do 2 street trees per lot. And so I think that he already doesn't have enough street trees. Like if you look, there's not 2 street trees per lot on some of these. Like this one definitely only has 1. That one definitely only has 1. Some of them are pretty light, like because they have different coatings. Like, can you see this is a tree? It's very light if you're looking in your packet. But like, you know, so this one has 2, this one has 2. But overall, I think they're missing a number of trees. And they have this screen over here, but this screen is separate from the street tree plantings. So those don't count like in your total number of trees. So I think the total number of trees has to increase. And then if you guys can see, like, this is what I was saying when I was confused about what we're talking about. Their proposed trees are northern red oak, Norway maple, thornless honey locust, and white spruce. And the predominant tree that they chose to plant, 16 of them, was Norway maple.
Maple.
Which is invasive. So, like,
not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Right. Yeah.
So is the land that these trees are going to go on, and when you look at the lot sizes and stuff, are these families going to have the opportunity to put their own plants in, or is this the kind of division where somebody else is taking care of all the work around the home, mowing and whatever? What freedom are they going to have, the people in the townhouses, to put their own plants in? Do you know?
Yeah, so this isn't a condo, and it's not typical of like a townhouse development in that they're all townhouses. This is a mixture. And
Mhm.
because they're all townhouses, all of these lots are individually owned. To
Okay.
my understanding, there's not a proposed homeowners association, so everybody be in complete control of their own lot,
Okay,
whatever they want there.
yeah, okay.
Laura, this is Chris. Did we propose doing a site visit for this site as well? Because isn't this the same site where there's the bike path that's going to go through? There's the pollinator
Yes.
garden there.
Laura and I went.
So maybe this again, I guess this site here would be a high priority for a site visit for me. And
Yeah.
then we can review, like at the site visit, come up with the tree list based on, what we're seeing there. Certainly Noria maple is probably not suitable. And, yeah. So maybe that's a way to kind of handle that. I know it's another site visit, but we actually haven't been to this site. We've actually already been to the other one.
Yeah,
So-
Yeah.
I think that's
Laura, I thought you had
Isn't the
proposed
soil
that.
really sandy? It's a really sandy soil there. The time we were walking.
Is it? I don't know if it is. I think it's silt. Is it more floodplain and wetlands? But it'd be interested to walk it, and we could check it out.
There was a big dune there.
A dune? This where the wildflower garden was, where there's the plants, and they were going to try to transplant some. We had a big
yes,
discussion
that's
about
this one. Yep. Yes.
Yeah, that was like last meeting or 2 meetings ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like one time you asked about this crossing, and I made sure to bring it up with the developer and the TDE, and they did require further permitting and make sure that everything was okay with the Army
Right.
Corps of Engineers for this crossing. So that was a good point, and it was followed through on.
So why
Yep.
don't we set up a site visit, Laura? I think that would make sense.
Okay, I completely agree with that.
So yeah, I'll have to look at my calendar, but if you propose some times, I can even try to see if I can get to my calendar now, but I could go to this one since I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, I'd say pull up your calendar and throw out a couple times that work for you. I think you would be really helpful on this one because one of the things you were also going to look at was just double check what kind of lupin that is. I think we're pretty sure it's the ornamental kind, but there's a couple things that are really useful to check on there. And so if we can schedule it, your schedule, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, next Friday is pretty open for me right now, so I could do something in the morning or whenever people,
Yeah.
I could do something at 9, and then just spend an hour, 9 to 10 or something.
So like the 21st?
Yeah, next Friday.
Okay, that works for me.
9 to
Was
10?
this the site that the Carner Blue Butterfly was mentioned? Something
Yes.
in
Yeah.
my
Yeah. So it's
Well, we
not
don't-
present
no.
at the site, and then the site distance from the KBB is quite a ways away. So yeah, I think we're just trying to figure out what would be the most appropriate, plants that would go into the butterfly garden.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll check and see what the situation is with the lupin. It should be pretty high by now. And see if we have any thoughts for moving it around or helping in any way that we can with that. So 9 a.m. on May 21st.
Friday, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, if you
Okay.
could just send up with a
I'll send
calendar
meeting.
invite
Yep, I'll
somebody.
send calendar invites for both of them. Yep. So that is
Yeah, great.
Celts,
Thanks,
not
Laura.
Public.
Appreciate
What
that.
do we have a time for Celts?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. That's Celts?
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
what day is that? Can't remember.
that's a Friday. So it's the day after the Van
Antwerp.
Antwerp one, which will be Thursday at 3 p.m.
We're sort of like bookending ourselves. We'll
Yeah.
see each other at the end of the day on the 20th and first thing in the morning on the 21st,
Yes.
which works for me. I think that's completely fine. I like it a lot.
Should we bring our pajamas? And
Have a sleepover.
Do you want them to meet at the old driveway of the house, or do you want them to meet at Windsor?
Oh,
We're talking about Van Antwerp,
no,
No,
yeah, Celts
Celts.
Farm.
Celts? Which one are you talking about? I'm confused now.
Celts Farm.
Celts Farm, okay.
So where does it make sense to meet, Laura?
you know, it's probably actually safest to meet if you all park at the Windsor Drive stub.
Okay.
There's a lot of room for cars there, and they're totally pulled off, and it's a very safe place to park.
Okay.
So I think that's probably the best place.
So people know where that is?
Can you get through
Windsor Drive? Yeah.
Yeah, I can just pull it up quickly for you guys to see it.
Yeah.
Also park at the Blatnick parking lot and walk across the street.
Yeah, the Windsor Drive is nice though, because we want to look at those trees too, and you're totally pulled off the street, and you are very safe there, and you don't have to cross any big roads.
Mhm.
It's usually full of trees and you don't necessarily get through to Celts.
No, you can definitely walk through to Celts. There's no problems. But I have done site walks on this, and just wear pants that you can tuck in or whatever, because a couple members as a planning board, I think, got a tick from this site. So okay, so, and if you are not interested in coming for that reason, that is also completely fine. But it does kind of come with the territory, because it's perfect tick country. It's like a field. That's only mowed every once in a while. So, here, wait, let me just share this with you quickly. Can you guys see this? So, like, this big chunk here, which you guys are probably kind of used to, this is the house that got taken down. Here's all the big Jeff Blatnick Park. And then this is the chunk of land that we're looking at. You can park your cars right here, right where Windsor Drive. So you can just put the corner of Windsor Drive and Briar Ridge, and there's this big stub that you can all park. And then the bike path's gonna go right through here, and that's one of the things we want to look at. And then you can walk, and then all the lupins and stuff are up in here.
Okay.
So if anybody has any problems with that, when I send the email with the calendar invites, I'll put my cell phone, and I'll try really hard to make sure it's not on silent, which I have done in the past. So you guys, we'll all get there. I promise it'll work out.
Okay.
Okay. So the
We're
last
not going to do anything more on Celts Farm. We'll wait until we have our site visit, right? So
yeah.
Next is the Rivers Ledge one.
And yeah, so the Rivers Ledge is just, well, there's two things on the Rivers Ledge. The first thing I put in is the apartment, like the on-site landscaping. We've looked at this once before. I'll share my screen again, so we can all make sure we're looking at the same thing. So it's in your packet, but just so everybody knows. So this is the on-site landscaping plan. And, it includes like shrubs and things around each building, like a general foundation layout plan. And then it has things like street trees that are going along the road. And I think the one thing that we noted on this before, and we really haven't dived into it yet, is that, like, for instance, you've got 102 river birch. Like, we love river birch. I'm sure it's beautiful, but that's probably too many of one species, and they're not particularly long-lived, right? So, like, I think diversifying that is a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's another one in here.
Black gum. They've got 38 of those.
Oh yeah, they have. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know what but Chris, I feel like you sent me an email about Colorado blue spruce. I was not aware of what you had put in your email about the Colorado blue spruce. Oh yeah, but you've got 20 Norway spruce, so we'd probably want to swap those out.
Yeah, just a property I'm by the Mohawk and the bike path, and this is that whole project.
Well, right. Sorry. So there's two things on this one agenda item. One is River's Ledge, which this
Right.
one is for River's Ledge, and we really haven't touched it yet. The other
Right.
plan is the park plan, which
Right.
we did touch, and this is kind of an update to us touching it. You know, we had said that we still needed diversity. This is like
Right.
I went through and I added a bunch of trees, and then you can see in here, like this is what they had proposed, and this is how we diversified them.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. I just, you already said, I sent an email, but I was forwarded an email from Steve Young, who lives in Niskayuna, and he's a state botanist. I guess he listened to last month's meeting, and so he provided some detailed comments about tree species selection. So his comments might apply to both projects.
Yeah, which were great. I like them a lot. So like, and things that we had talked about doing, like they had 52 little lime hydrangeas, so we swapped them in for other things. The white azalea, I think there was some reason that it wouldn't even grow very well there. So we did the sweet pepper bush, winterberry, and button bush. So really trying to do like natives. And then also we wanted big trees, like big trees. So got a couple tulip trees in there and the sycamore. But actually, if I talked to the developer, because like these, it's still kind of open, even with this augmented planting plan. So we added 90 species here. This is an extra 90 plantings. I still think that this might be a little bit open. So he said we could put in another 15 to 20 trees. And I got a couple emails from you guys. And some other suggestions from people who live across the river. So there's no serviceberry in the plans right now. So I think adding some serviceberry, which was something from also that guy that emailed Chris, and then maybe some shagbark hickories, because I know they grow really well in the area. And there's one other thing I was thinking about adding in there. I can't remember. But if you guys had any thoughts about it, feel free to email me.
Okay.
We're trying to just make it a lot more diverse with bigger trees.
Okay.
I hope you're going to send us a cap of all the times we're supposed to meet and go places.
I will.
I'm looking at my notes and I'm seeing I'm in two places at once. So it's not going to work. I mean, like Celts versus River Road.
Yeah, I'll send you guys meeting invites for both, and then
Thank
follow up with an email for people who don't have Outlook, because I know there's some people who don't have Outlook. Yeah. So what I was thinking is we could do something similar to what we did for the park on the on-site, right? Because like I think maybe we should dissect this planting list a little bit. Although this one might be a little bit harder because some of these numbers may be coming from uniform plantings around each building.
Right.
So
Right.
this one might really be like, I don't know, maybe a tree planting subcommittee working meeting where we sit down with this thing over here and we figure out exactly how the trees are and everything are working on each individual building. Because what I was thinking is maybe they've got different architectural treatments they've got 3 different architectural treatments for these buildings. Like they're not very diverse, but like for one's going to be blue, one's going to be white, and one's going to be like dark brown. So like, but maybe another way to diversify the buildings would be you could do 3 different foundation plans. So like, you know, like if this one has 1 million birches, we could sit down and figure out, okay, you know, for one type of building color, this planting plan, just as a suggestion, or maybe we can even just send it to them and be like, can you know, but I haven't really sat down with it either. Like maybe it won't work like that, but this is a pretty big thing that we'd want to sit down with. And they said, diversify to your heart's content. Like we're happy to work with you, but I think they do want some consistency with building. So that's what I was thinking.
I guess just, you know, it depends on people's time. But just, you know, I would say, you know, it's all into how much time they have available. And if they're into that, I think that'd be great. But, you know, the flip side would just be to provide them with some broad guidance and then come up with some scenarios, you know what I mean? Just because of limited, you know, I mean, that's basically their job is to, if you give them the guidance, then they should come up with a design, right, that meets those parameters.
Right.
But I'm,
Yeah.
you know, I think if people are interested in digging into it, I think it's a great project. It's just, you know, we just have limited bandwidth. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. And it was like I said, it's easier to do with the park because the park
Right.
is put. But if we wanted to do more broad stroke things and have them come back to us with this landscaping plan, I am totally fine with that as well.
Do you think they're limited by whoever they've hired to do the landscaping? You know, what plants they'll deal with and where they get?
No, I think they typically do a plan like this because it's cheaper to buy everything in bulk.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but they have been really good to work with down there, even though it was,
Okay.
you know, not nearly as cheap to put in all those different species. We really wanted the diversity of species in the park.
Mhm.
You know, like I think we have a plan to mark the trees, so I tried really hard to, you know, put all kinds of different trees in there, so that if we wanted to, we could do a placking of the trees. You know, because there's so people could.
So maybe
But
we
I
could
meant
give
in
them a
the
list.
division itself, though. I mean, maybe they're going through some kind of cookie cutter plan to make everybody look uniform or something. I don't know what their plan is, you know?
Yeah.
And Laura, we could give them a list of our trees and shrubs and plantings that we've, come up as approved
Mhm.
that they could pick from.
Yeah, okay. So I think that makes sense because bandwidth wise, I agree with Chris. We've got a lot on our plate. So what if we just gave them a couple broad stroke comments? Like we could we could basically send the list that we did with the park refined a little bit because some of them are really ornamental. And just give them like broad comments like we don't want to see the Norway spruce.
Yeah.
And then like we don't want to see 102 birches, so like diversify some of those trees. And then it would be interesting if they could look at 3 different foundation plans to see if they could because if they have, like for instance, they have like 743 Stella d'Oro, which I mean, whatever. But like, I think they also have like boxwood. Yeah, so they have like 592 boxwood, and I'm not an expert, but if boxwood has like a beetle or something that really bothers it, it would be a shame to lose all of the boxwood there. Like, it seems to me like just the same thing that we're always having. Like, what if they did boxwood in one building and dogwood, like, so well, not silky dogwood, but like some ornamental dogwood shrub on another building or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I just have to find plants that have the same characteristic, right? So the
Right.
kind of the growth form and attributes of boxwood. What's a potential, replacement species for that? But yeah, I think that's a good idea to try to diversify these condos / apartments.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good suggestion, Laura. I just don't know what those, so I guess that's what we're asking them, try to come up with, I guess what you're saying is 3 foundational plans. So it's almost, 3 slightly different plans for the development as a whole.
Right. I'm trying to think like there's a broadleaf evergreen that we just put in Aqueduct Park under a different plan that may be similar to boxwood, but they would know that, and that would make it way easier. I agree with you, Chris. If we're just like, if we just put like in a narrative that says, we think that 3 different foundation plans would be very beneficial both to the environment and to you guys, so that like one species couldn't be wiped out across
Right.
your
Yeah.
apartment, and then also, maybe they flower at different times for pollinators or whatever. They probably don't care about that, but we can ask, and then get a new plan, get a revised planting plan there.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
So I like that too. I think that saves us some work and is helpful.
Yeah.
and I think we should specifically tell them what we don't want, like the Norway spruce or any other, thing that we see on this current list that is undesirable from our point of view. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
seeing
agree
any
with
other
that.
thing right at the moment, but
Longevity, pests, all kinds of things are reasons for that.
Yeah, like I don't see the Canadian hemlock, but if they had that, that would be one that we.
Yeah. Yeah, so the only other one we might make a star for them is that they would want to look into the Colorado blue spruce, I think.
Mhm. And did they go ahead and make the purchase for the park trees?
I don't know. They did slow down because it's taking them a little bit longer to do the blacks, but the blacks are really cool. If you go down there, I get very excited by it because they're building retaining walls and ornamental walls and stuff with them, but it's almost like they're literally putting the Erie Canal walls back and the stones are all lined up and you can touch them like as a wall. That's very cool. But it's super labor intensive, which I knew it was going to be. I think they did too, but it's really labor intensive.
Can we walk down there, Laura?
You can. I would just suggest doing it after like 4.
Okay.
Because they're actively working on it during the day. But as soon as they're done with their site, there's nothing dangerous about it or anything. You can weave your way. It's muddy. I walked it like a week ago and couldn't go inside my house when I came home. But you're welcome to walk it. And it may not be nearly as muddy because it wasn't as rainy this week. But
Okay.
yeah, I would definitely go check it out. It's gonna be cool.
Sounds good.
So, did anybody have any other thoughts that we should send them as broad strokes?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all I have then, I believe.
Okay. So that's all of our new business and action items. The next one was our discussion item on Dean Street planting. And Amy Polanski's not on. Laura, it looks like there's a letter. Is that our next step, was to draft the letter?
Yeah, and the Schenectady County Soil and Water guy reached out to me and said, "Do you need any help with this?" I was kind of like, "Yes, I do." But yes, that's our next step. And I kept it on the agenda, even though I don't really have any real progress on it because I don't want to lose track of it.
Right, because we are under the time frame of getting them that we have to plant in early fall.
Correct. Yep.
So,
Laura, when should the letter go out to give us time to do what we need to do?
Oh, I think that like the Schenectady County guy and like when we had that meeting, and Carol can speak to that too. I mean, we actually want to get the letter out as soon as possible so that we've done that initial outreach and then we can start coordinating with people what they want so that we'll be ready to order and plant in the fall.
So should we make a plan by mid-June, within the next month, get that letter out?
I think that's a good timeline. What do you guys think?
yeah, definitely. I think the sooner the better. Because I think, just with summer coming and everything, I think the fall's going to pop up quickly.
Really quickly.
I think we need to get the letter out and get moving on it because we don't want to lose that money.
Now, is the letter that we sent out to Cornelius and Ray basically the start of this new letter?
I would probably start with that.
Who has writing skills that wants to take the old letter and craft up a new one?
So it's just explaining to them the process, or is it asking them to think about what trees they want, or both?
Yeah, so I think what we had talked about being in the initial letter would be that we've identified that site for the planting plan, that we're working with Schenectady Soil and Water because we definitely want to get their name and what they do out. They were excited about that because they're doing all of the grant work. And then something similar to what we had written in Cornelius, like I think we said, like, here's a couple of the trees that we're thinking, like, what do you want for your house? Like, what do you envision for your street? Like, just start to get some feedback from people.
Yeah, I think if we could list the trees that we're considering and then see what they think. So,
and these are street trees. These are all
street trees.
Yeah. I feel like 3 of our items have a tree list, so I will go find one that we've used in the past, and then we can maybe just use that one for the couple things that we've got going, and I'll send it to you guys so you can look at it.
And Andrea, with this one, we don't have the utility lines as a
Oh, nice.
as an issue because they're in the back. So,
That's great.
so did,
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, Laura, because I think that if we can get a small group together, I think to review, especially this, because it's quite a few trees, right? And then two, this will be a larger kind of street tree planting. So we talked about, diversity, but then also trying to maintain consistency and character of the street. So this would be kind of a nice little pilot to think about that.
Yeah.
so did we get a volunteer to write the letter or?
I'll do it, Carol.
I'd be happy to help you in any way or get stuff together.
Carol, can you write the intro of who's supplying the money to do this?
Sure.
And then Amanda's going to write up the rest. We'll
Okay.
send you the letter we used for Cornelius.
Yeah, send that to both of us.
Yeah, we'll put Carol and Amanda on an email chain,
Mhm.
and Andrea.
Yeah,
Andrea.
I'd be happy to help.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
I think that'll
this
help
is,
move it along.
This is Dean Street.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so is this in between like Regent and like, is it the entire stretch of Dean, or can you just give me a general sense?
It's basically like 3 blocks down from, it's like stretching from where Dean Street hits Providence, like down to like the bottom of Dean Street Park. I don't know what I think the cross streets maybe like Niskuna Road, maybe. It's the very,
Oh, okay.
very northern part of Dean Street.
Yeah. Okay. And so then, so it doesn't include the Dean to what are the Boulevard or whatever that is over there. I forget. I'm sorry. I should know the name of that street. Grand Boulevard. It does not
No.
include Knott to Grand. Okay. So it's just the stretch from Knott to Dean Street Park.
So Amy noted that all of Dean Street has areas where you could replant, but if you drive Dean Street, this is definitely the block of the least amount of trees. It's the most open, the most bare, and
Yeah. So I could take a note. I could just walk that, and I could just take a quick note of what's there now, and then how potentially a planting could complement that, because it's right near my house. So.
Yeah. There's not very much there now.
Right, but trying to stay within the character of the neighborhood.
that would be helpful, Chris.
Okay, so Chris will do a walk.
And didn't they want this in, like, one of the original reasons they wanted this was because of the speeding and, cars and like traffic calming and that, that thing.
Right.
So I think it's like that further end of Dean Street, not really the Knott Street to Regent area.
Sort of towards the
Knott
Mohawk
Street
River.
to, what are some of the cross streets? I'm trying to think.
Like Webster? Does Webster hit over there? It's really like up in the Providence Rosa Road kind of area.
Laura, you and Amy walked it, right? So you know where you want to plant the trees should be planted.
Well, she started visualizing it too. There's really not a lot of trees there, but it will take a while. But they definitely also want the trees to be traffic calming. And so when we're thinking about it, Chris, and you're looking at it, the way that trees often are traffic calming, and the reason that it works so well in Old Niskuna is, that they're visually narrating your corridor. So ones that do create canopy and do touch sort of over the road are very beneficial if one of the thoughts is that eventually these will grow up and be traffic calming.
Yep, that sounds good.
Are Barclay, McClellan, Nelson, and Webster.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Starting at Niskuna Drive.
Barclay, McClellan,
Nelson,
Webster. Okay.
and Webster. Webster is the only through crossing street.
Okay.
Everything else is one-sided.
Mhm. And we want to start at Providence? Is that? Or is that the end?
That's the end.
Oh, that's the end.
Mhm. Okay, so the next step is the letter. Amanda, Andrea, and I will work on that and get it out. Chris is going to walk it and get ideas. And I think if we can do all of that before our next meeting next month, that'll give us a good start.
Mhm.
So, okay. So that's Dean. Reports the public outreach. We had our Arbor Day. I think it went much more smoothly than last year. We had a lot of volunteers. We handed out 250 or so trees,
Yay.
and we didn't have the backup in the cars. Anyone who wanted a tree got a tree this year, unlike last year, which I think was good. I think having it there at the senior center worked really well because there was that long access road, so we didn't tie up other streets.
Mhm.
We also planted 2 sassafras trees at the senior center, and we had the town supervisor and the town board come, and they read the tree proclamation on Thursday. And the people who run the community center are so thrilled about having the trees, and they've promised to take good care of them. So that's also nice.
Great.
Plant them at a place where people really want them and are excited about taking care of them. So I think that went well. I sent out a note right after of some things we talked about for improvements. I think next year, if we have a little bit about each tree that we're handing out, would be helpful. And also, if we're planting a town tree, if we can have some of those trees to give out, because everybody was asking for the sassafras trees since we planted that as the town tree. But I think overall, it was a smooth event and a success. So.
Other thing I think you talk about having a description of the trees, if you could also announce that in advance, give people a chance to decide the trees before they come.
Yes, that would be good. And we have a list to hand out. Remember, we were all trying to make up the list on the day of. So those are just some things that I've taken note of, but if we can all try to remember for next year.
And
so.
Since these are bare root plants, that we need to give them instructions on how to plant them too, and I don't think we did that, did we?
No, I don't think we did.
Yeah, because you at least bare root plants that I have gotten, you're supposed to hold them in water for 30 minutes or up to an hour before you plant them and stuff like that, and it's and otherwise it's just a stick in the ground and it's not might not work. So we can do that next year too.
Yeah, and one of these years we should, since we've been handing them out for a few years, if people have any photographs of the trees that they've planted and how they're doing, it would be interesting to see, some of the 3 or 4 or 5-year-old trees, if they're still surviving, pictures of any of them. So
I think they did have wasn't there a list with links on the website, the town website, to the trees?
Yeah.
So it was available, but maybe people didn't go to check there.
Yeah, some people knew exactly what they wanted. Like I was stopping each car when they were first coming, and I'd ask, "Do you know what you want?" And several of them knew exactly what they wanted. But I think having something to give them if they didn't would help. So, and I don't know, people, who are handing them out, did you get a lot of questions or not too many about the different types of trees and what they should pick? Or did most people know what?
Few, yeah.
Just a few.
They didn't, the ones that didn't know what tree to pick, you kind of had to guide them like, okay, do you want a flowering tree? Do you want a shade tree? Do you want an evergreen? So you were just kind of guiding them through the selection process. So yeah, I think if at that point, if you had someone like that didn't know what we were giving away, then, handing something out might help.
Yeah. Okay. And next year we may not be doing the drive-through. We may actually have it at a park or at the town hall where people can stop and, participate versus what we've been doing the last 2 years. So.
Carol, if you want to modify the spreadsheet that you use this year with some comments about next year,
okay,
I will create a subdirectory for next year's Arbor Day and put it there.
Great. I
Not
will
that
do that.
we remember to use it, but at least it will be technically someplace where we should know.
Okay, that's good, Linda. I will do that and send it to you. Good. So that's it for the public outreach for right now. We haven't really thought about what our next things are yet. So how about the tree inventory and tree master plan subcommittee?
Oh, Carol, just to tag on to that, I think maybe our next thing was like, we know that NISTA Day is going to be in August, and our tree brochures came a little late, but now I have a box of beautiful tree brochures. So one of the things I was thinking is we could put them down front for people who are just looking for information to peruse. And then also we can bring those to NISTA Day.
Yeah, and do we know if NISCA Day is going to be for sure? Because we then, at a certain point in time in the future, have to sign up and get a table.
Yeah, I'll keep as much of an ear out for that as I can through the different committees that I go to and try and make sure that we have a slot.
Okay, great. And then we should start thinking about what we want to put on do for our table. So
Yeah, because people really liked it when we did that raffle of the sand cherry that you did, Carol. I think people like that.
Well, and now I think we could get more choices in August than in May. There weren't as many choices available at that point in time. So, okay.
There may be a NISCA Day website open that starts telling people what's happening and what's going to be allowed and what's not going to be there.
Okay. Okay, so NISCA Day. Okay, tree inventory and tree master plan.
Yeah, this is Chris. I would just say that, we're making progress. It's possible that this summer we could shoot to have an initial draft. One thing that I did note that would be helpful, Laura, is to get that spreadsheet that we had talked about. It reminded me of how many trees have been removed and how many trees have been planted each year, just so that we can include that information in the report or the plan.
Yeah, the one we used for our certification to be a tree city. Is that the one you're talking about?
Sure. Yeah. Do you have that? It's basically just how many trees we planted each year and then how many trees have been removed.
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Yeah, and that's something that we can include just to get a general sense of, where we're at with that. That'd be super. And so, yeah, I think that Carol's going to take an initial stab at working on the draft, and then I'm going to work on some of the data. And so maybe we could potentially start thinking about how we want to present some of that information, but then what might be a good time to have kind of a focus group or a meeting that would be, possibly dedicated to thinking about the goals. But, that might be something that we'd want to think about trying to even have an outside facilitator so somebody can walk us through that as opposed to us trying to, facilitate that ourselves so that we can all fully participate. So I don't know if that's something maybe we should try to do sooner, or maybe we should try to, summer's always tough. So I just don't know. Maybe that's something we're going to have to put off until, September, but I don't know. So I think that would be helpful to have that meeting, but I really do think it would be good to have kind of somebody facilitate it for us and keep us moving along.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, I think that's a really good point, because as I started to look at the plan, I started to look at it this week, and I think one of the key things we really need for our master plan are what are our key kind of goals, and I'm not sure that the current plan is clear enough with that, for our 10 to 20 year master plan. And so I agree, having maybe a meeting just focused on that so that we're all, clear on these are our strategic goals.
Right. Yeah, and we might be able to just get it to the point where they're directional So it might be hard to kind of agree on specific targets, but if we can just agree on, more generalities, then that would be, I think, great. And yeah, so I don't know. What's our access at this point, Laura, to the contractor that develops the plan?
So we definitely, I think, would still have access to him, and I think he would be a very good facilitator. But the other thought I had too is, and I know you've been on some of these meetings, is we're kind of hiring, potentially hiring a facilitator for the natural resources inventory public outreach. It would be kind of interesting if we almost did it as a series, where people were investing in, these different things, or maybe we shouldn't combine them. I'm not really sure, but we have a couple of options, I think, for getting a facilitator. I definitely think we need one.
Yeah, and this would just be, I think, to clarify for the tree committee to, help us outline our goals. And so, if you think that if it's something we want to do sooner than later, possibly reaching back out to the planner and just having him, because he's already familiar with the plan and the topic, just spend, like an hour and a half with us or an hour with us, and potentially even in person. We could do it outside, at a picnic table or something. I don't know if you guys felt comfortable with that.
Really beneficial. Yeah.
Because then,
I was just going to say, I think we should all, if we're going to do this, be thinking about what we think our goals should be. And I can kind of send out the ones that are in our plan and maybe some other plans that I've pulled, of tree master plans. So we can be thinking about what we want ours to be. So.
Right. So I guess the question is, do we want to try to do that, in June, or because people get busy with summer, so it seems like our window is essentially June,
Yeah, I think that's good.
But is that too intense?
So what if so actually one of the things Linda and I were going to bring up is that the next meeting date doesn't work for either of us. Like, what if we were to hold, instead of a regular tree council meeting, like just a working session in sort of mid or late June, where we could organize the facilitator to do that. And that would be our kind of like touching point. And then we could just go back to a regular meeting in July.
I think that would be fine unless we had certain, action items that we had to look at for Celts Farm or Rivers Ledge or one of those other business developments.
Yeah, or like maybe if we did a later meeting, we could do, like I know we used to do like a pre-working meeting prior to the meeting, and then we could just gather publicly for any action item that needed to be done, just kind of almost quickly at the end.
Right. Yeah.
Sounds okay.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't I touch base with Carol, and we'll come up with a proposal, and then we can try to reach out to the contractor, and then we'll try to shoot for something in June, to find a date that would work. And then two, try to, I don't know what you guys think about the idea of meeting in person. It just might be easier to do in person as opposed to over virtually. But yeah, so I don't know how people feel about that, or even what the policy is.
Yeah.
We had a complete streets meeting outside when we really needed to gather around drawings, and it worked great. It was fine and fun. Town would definitely allow it, and I'm okay with it, but I respect all people's comfort levels.
Yeah,
do we want to tentatively pick a date, since June 10th isn't going to work for our council meeting, and pick an alternate time and date? And then, Chris, we can also see if the consultant can support that, and if not, we can come back to the team.
Yeah, I can't, it's difficult to access my calendar now, but if you propose that, send that to maybe me in an email, and then that'd be great. And then I can respond, and we can have a pre-meeting.
Okay. So what works for people for proposed meeting. What were you thinking, Laura, since couldn't do the 10th? But you're on mute.
I'm talking away to myself. It's easy enough for us to just move it to the next Thursday, which is like June 17th. But maybe we could start a working session at like 5:30 or do a working session from 6 to 7 and then just gather quickly for 7 if we had any action items there. I don't really know.
You're talking about the 17th? Like
Yeah.
Mary talked about? That sounds fine.
But would that work for other folks? And we would just start a little early,
That works for me.
like at 5:30,
Mhm.
and then we would mainly focus on this, and then just wrap up any other action items that are
I'll probably be out of town the 17th, but you shouldn't not do it because of me. I mean, you guys are I'm just gonna be watching anyway.
I think we'd have to advertise the time that the public meeting would actually start. So like if we were gonna do our working meeting from like 5:30 to 6:30, then we would advertise that we changed the tree council time to June 17th at 6:30. If we think we need like an hour and a half, then we would advertise that the tree council meeting would be at 7.
Yeah.
I know we don't get like massive attendance. But that way, if anybody wanted to attend, and then it would just be very quick wrap up because we had essentially have done all our discussion items. It would only be if we had any action that we needed to take on planning board referrals.
Okay. So we'll tentatively set that, but Chris, you'll check with the consultant.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay. And anything else, Chris?
Nope, all good. I gotta
Okay.
drop off now though, so great chatting with you all, and we'll touch base soon.
Okay.
See you next week. All right, bye.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
I actually drop off as well. So,
Well, and I actually think we're kind of at the end. That was the last item.
hey,
So with that, does anybody have anything else?
Mhm.
Okay, then does somebody want to move to adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Okay, second. So all in favor? So thanks, everyone. Good,
All in favor.
good time to wrap up. So, and it looks like
See you
we'll
all.
be meeting next week at some locations on Thursday and Friday.
And
So,
I'll send those invites out. Yep.
Great.
okay.